everybody, Chris from 6 Wins here with, actually, Stone Cold from 6 Wins here with The Undertaker. I mean, you saw the entrance. I was shaking in my boots. Quaking in my boots.
I don't know how that looked. Probably terrible. Stupidest face ever.
But you saw the title of this video. We did a best WWE superstar bracket. 64 wrestlers, and it's come down to this. Number 1 seed, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
What?
Versus other number 1 seed,
What?
The Undertaker.
What?
And you know,
What?
whenever we put up polls,
What?
we put them on Instagram.
What?
On Twitter.
What?
On TikTok.
What?
On YouTube.
What?
On Reddit.
What?
On Facebook.
What?
MySpace.
Huh?
Truth Social.
Whoa!
I'm so glad I was running out of
No,
names. Yeah, but we put all these up to vote.
Amazing.
So this isn't our opinion who moves on, although we give our opinion.
Yeah.
The person who moves on is the person who gets more votes.
Yeah.
Simple as that. What we like to do when we get to our finals matchup, because we did a best actor bracket, and we like to do a little retrospective.
Yeah.
So we'll throw up the regions here. So here we got the Northwest region. This is what we call the Stone Cold region. This is where Stone Cold won. Anything you see in this region that shocked you, or that was your favorite matchup of the region?
I would say early thoughts on this after we went through the first round. The only thing that I think seating wise here that we might have missed is Piper being too low. He seemed massively popular. He crushed Goldberg. He hung in there, like we knew Stone Cold was gonna win, but he hung in there with Stone Cold. And I think like had Piper been a 5 or a 4, he probably would have ended up facing Stone Cold in the Sweet 16 rather than Booker T, which was a surprise to me.
Yeah.
And then really for me, this region was about getting behind Kurt Angle and realizing, God damn, it's true, it's damn true. Might be one of my personal favorite wrestlers, period. At this point, I think he's in my top 3.
Yeah.
I just pick random numbers sometimes, but
right, top 3, top 5. I mean, someone could tell me Kurt Angle is their favorite wrestler of all time, and I wouldn't argue.
Yeah.
If you want to think about all criteria, checking all the boxes, he was so good in every aspect of wrestling. And if I were to do anything differently, I think all I would do was swap the rankings of Angle and Roman Reigns. Reigns, he's on this hot streak right now, longest running title reign in the past however many years, 30 years probably. So that's why he got picked so high as a 3 seed. But I think if he would have swapped with Angle, because Angle beat him.
To be fair, that surprised me though. I thought even though Angle did win, and in hindsight, maybe did we have the rankings wrong? Because I think we do think Angle could have been higher. I think Roman Reigns is a fair 3 because I thought he was gonna win that. Yeah. And I was actually like, oh, okay.
But this one, I think out of all the Elite 8 matchups, this one to me was my favorite. Stone Cold versus John Cena.
Yeah.
Like we talked about in the Cena Stone Cold review video, that could be your finals matchup in any bracket, and everyone's gonna be like, ooh, that's a tough one. So that was probably my favorite matchup. Did you have like a favorite matchup here?
I did. My favorite matchup was Mick Foley and Bray Wyatt because those are 2 favorites. Rest in peace, Mick Foley's career, or not Mick Foley, Bray Wyatt's career. He's gone. I don't know if he's coming back. I don't know what happened. He might, hope. I don't want to hope for an injury, but it's obviously better than just like realizing things aren't working and quitting. But an injury probably spells a death sentence again. Bray Wyatt was never known for it as like the guy that was like the stiffest guy in there, but when he impacted and hit dudes, I was like, woo!
Chest chop, hit me.
That was so weak.
Yeah.
That was good.
So that was kind of a breakdown of Northwest region. Now
and then Austin did end up beating Cena.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's in the finals right now. He ended up beating the winner of the next region that we can talk about. This was the Rock region, the Southwest corner. What were some of the things that you really liked here? Were there any seedings you would have changed? Any surprises?
I don't think there's a ton I would change here. Rock and Flair were the 2 survivors from this region. They were the number 1 and 2 seed. Not bad. Jericho, I think, was perfectly seated in that 3. If I were to do it over, Jericho could be in that 2 spot too.
He could be, but I think because he's had so much of his career elsewhere than WWE, a lot in WCW, doing a lot in AEW now, has always, he's committed to wrestling, but he's always done so many other things. I think it's fair to just put him as a 3 and be like,
Yeah.
he's amazing, but you can't consider him like, he's not the guy that you'll always remember from WWE.
Right.
That you're like, give me like the 4 or 5 most memorable WWE wrestlers.
True. But yeah, other than that, The Rock came away with the victory in this region. It was the Rock region, so we put it up to a poll, Rock versus Hogan.
I had a few thoughts on this one.
Sorry,
Yeah, I think this region had 2 of our closest matchups. In the first round, Arn Anderson, Mr. Perfect, was so tight. If I probably pull up the TikTok now, like the last time I checked it, which was several probably weeks ago, it was like 50%, 50%. It was actually like tied at that point. I know Mr. Perfect, when we finalized the vote, was ahead by a few, but it was like 80 plus votes, like 85 for each of them.
That's crazy.
And I was just like, man, that's so close.
Yeah.
The other one that we had was Ric Flair, Eddie Guerrero. That one was insanely close. In the same way that Angle, I really got ramped up for Angle. I really got ramped up for Jericho here. Jericho and Angle are like two of the guys in my top 3.
Yeah, they're both awesome. So moving on up to the Northeast region, the Undertaker region. This is the one, obviously, he moved on because it's him versus Stone Cold in the finals here. We're going to reveal the winner here in a little bit, but looking at this region, this is kind of like the big man bracket, the big man region.
It was.
Andre, Big Show, Taker, Kane, Kevin Nash, and then we had the big slapping man meet with Lashley, Batista, Gunther, Brock Lesnar, and Vader, all in like the same little sub-region.
Yeah.
And then you had Rey Mysterio. This is the perfect region for Rey Mysterio because he had to conquer several big men to eventually get knocked out by Taker. But were there any matchups here that you really liked or that surprised you? I got one that surprised me.
There were a couple things that were interesting. I'm really happy where we seated Rey. And I know since he did a lot of WCW that like you didn't get to see a lot of that necessarily, and Rey in WWE has been sort of watered down throughout his career, and I don't know if he ever got to the same like high levels that he did in WCW in terms of his freedom and what he in ring and stuff. But he's been in more important storylines, no doubt. I think, the reason I put Rey here, and I'm very happy that he did get here, and he proved that he deserved it, even though he got smashed by Undertaker, but Big Show wasn't going to do better. Yeah, I just think Rey is without a doubt like a guy that should be a high seed, a top 16 kind of guy, just in terms, maybe not for you personally, but in terms of importance and what he brought to wrestling. And everybody at the Hall of Fame reiterated that and has more credibility than I do, but I think it's noticeable even to wrestling fans just like how important Rey Mysterio was, even if he's never going to be at the level of like an Undertaker.
Yeah.
The other thing that surprised me was that Kane beat Sting.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. It wasn't particularly close.
No.
I can't remember.
It was ish.
It's been so long.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one thing that surprised me was Andre the Giant getting knocked out in the first round.
Yeah.
I know it's been a while, but I thought for sure he was going to be Big Show and Braun Strowman, who we threw in a few last-minute names as triple threats. Like, we thought... We originally had Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn, but then when we released the bracket, we both are big Ziggler fans. We got a lot of people saying, hey, where's Ziggler on here? And we're like, all right, this would be the perfect match to throw him in there as a triple threat. When we were doing the draft, I thought Brock Lesnar being drafted as a 2 seed was wild, but he made it to the Sweet 16. He took down Vader. No issues there. Then he took down Batista by a pretty good margin, and he put up a good fight in the polls against Triple H. So that's, he's the real deal. Moving on down to our final region. This is the 4th region, the Southeast region. We'll call it the Hulk Hogan region. There was in my opinion, one giant upset in this one, but looking back, I love it, and that was Sweet 16, Hulk Hogan versus Randy Orton. Randy Orton, the Legend Killer, took down the Legend and moved on to the Elite 8. I thought that was awesome to see.
Yeah, it was surprising. It wasn't like a fluke. It didn't seem like a fluke vote. Some of the things I liked here, obviously, how can we talk about this region? without mentioning the CM Punk versus Macho Man matchup, and more importantly, the bet we had on it.
Yeah, I took Punk, Matt took Macho Man, and we said whoever loses has to go to the mall dressed up as Macho Man. I lost. We bought the Macho Man costume. It's within arm's reach here, and we had a good time, and we got some really good feedback on the video, so we're going to be doing more bets where dressing up as Macho Man and going to these obscure places is going to be, I think the next place we're going to go is a prison, a library, and maybe an airport. I'm just kidding. I don't know where we're going to go, but Macho Man will.
One or two of those sounded okay. The prison had me concerned.
Yeah, no, we're not going to prison. But maybe we'll go to prison dressed up as Dominic Mysterio.
Oh! That's a good one. Yeah. So Randy Orton did pull the upset over Hogan, so this was the only region where our 1 seed didn't come out.
True.
But maybe not that surprisingly, because if Hogan did get past Randy Orton, he would have gone up against our 2 seed, Shawn Michaels. Who did win, did come out of this region, did start convincing us that maybe he's the guy to win this whole thing, because we started watching those matches back and just like, holy crap, these are incredible. He beat Orton, but he did go up against Undertaker, and it was Undertaker who is here now against Stone Cold Steve Austin in our finals.
Yeah.
So, any final thoughts? One question I had, was there any wrestler, looking back, that didn't get in?
I think I would have liked Sergeant Slaughter on there. He's one of those classic images. I think that Honky Tonk Man spot, I think I like your take on you need that musician gimmick, but I think in terms of big gimmicks, if I were to replace Honky Tonk Man with anyone, it might have gone to a Sergeant Slaughter.
I think that's fair, yeah.
And I really wanted to see DDP on this thing.
Yeah.
I'm just a big DDP fan. It's hard for me to separate personal bias just because I like his just overall outlook on life. I love the DDP yoga program. I love what he's done to help rehabilitate, people that were struggling. So yeah, what about you? Anyone that you were? Maybe I only say Slaughter because he follows us on Twitter now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, maybe the only other thing I could think of is just guys that would have been from an earlier era that, maybe were as important as some of the guys I don't want to diminish Kofi because everybody was really bummed that Kofi's first round match was against Eddie Guerrero. Or some of the comments I saw was like, man, you guys did Kofi dirty. It's come on, man. Can't help it. But yeah, some of those guys that are more kind of a Kofi Kingston of an older era where maybe they had one big run. But I mean, even other than that WrestleMania run, he's very popular.
Yeah.
But if you took that out, you just be Kofi's great and he still would have made it. Yeah. We would have wanted him on there. But I think there were a lot of guys in different eras that were probably around that same level of popularity that we probably missed because 10, 15 years down the line, you go,
but I'll just give my thoughts real quick on Stone Cold versus Undertaker. I think Austin had higher heights, but Taker had just the longevity. We talked about a little bit in Taker HBK where it's do you think pro wrestler checks all the boxes? He came out 1990 in this gimmick that totally fit that era with those other Macho Man. There was a clown, there was a police officer, there was a repo man, there was all these
Elvis impersonator.
Guy
with a snake.
Yeah, not snake. Yeah, Ultimate Warrior. You got a dead person, just like a dead man. It's okay, how do you take that and not only make it work when the characters are big, but then into the Attitude Era where it was Stone Cold drinking beer, The Rock, coolest guy on the planet, all these gimmicks, and he managed to morph and evolve, and then he did the badass gimmick for a little while, but there were little rooted, it was kind of rooted in the Deadman, he would still make references to it, and then he came back and just Deadman 95% of his career, and he made it work in all the different generations. And I would say Taker has more classic matches. I mean, the streak, and then his matches with HBK, his matches with Triple H, match with Punk, Lesnar, and then all the other greats at WrestleMania. So if I had to give my say, I'm still going Stone Cold.
Oh, there you go.
I know. It's such splitting hairs. I'll be happy with whatever the results are, but I'm going Stone Cold just because he's my personal favorite of all time. And I think he took the company to higher heights with the company on his back more than anyone. So. So.
Yeah. For me, I'm going Taker.
Okay.
And I did the same thing in HBK matchup when we talked about it. Something about it just says like, you know, in 5 years, 10 years, if you ask people, think, you know, it'd probably be split about 50-50. Like, oh yeah, Austin's the WWE guy that I remember, or Taker, you know. But I think as you get further along, 25, 30, 35, 40 years, like Undertaker is just going to be one of those iconic and legendary faces that when you think about wrestling, when you think about WWE, you just think about that guy. And like Austin's going to be not far behind. Like odds are like he'll still be remembered as well. But something just says like Undertaker is that wrestling identity and that wrestling superstar that it will kind of just epitomize a wrestler for decades, if not centuries. So I would pick Undertaker here.
Okay. Well, the moment has come.
The moment has come.
The time has come. Nobody knows, as of right now, nobody knows other than you and me.
And I forget. No, I think I know who won this one.
Okay. Alrighty. So, without further ado, the winner of our best WWE Superstar bracket is The Undertaker.
Amazing, the Deadman. Woo! 3 cheers for the Undertaker.
And it was close. Austin off to a good lead because we left this one open for 48 hours.
Yeah.
We usually do 24. We did it over WrestleMania weekend. Undertaker ended up pulling it off. I was a little surprised, especially with the lead that Stone Cold got off. For a while there was like 65-35.
Yeah.
Taker fans showed out, and The Undertaker is our best WWE superstar.
Yeah. I mean, it was an amazing bracket. It was one that it was hard to do because, like you already talked about, 64 wrestlers. How do you pare it down? But we love wrestling, and we have so many more ideas for wrestling style brackets that will be a bit more narrow. Might then be able to get some more like personal opinion and bias in there. So we're hoping to do a lot more wrestling brackets and wrestling stuff in the future. So if you do have ideas that you want to see, we've got a lot of good ideas, but maybe you have some good ones. Let us know what you might want to see for wrestling. But you know, we're gonna be planning some stuff, and we hope you'll stick around, come back, hang out, be our friends, send us money. What?